Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our home ground where the women's game feels personal and powerful, where we get to talk about all things women's soccer sort of off the pitch. This is episode 3 that is releasing today, and I am so excited about it. It is our first episode with a guest. Allyson Bailey is our first guest, dear friend of mine who I talk to all the time about all things women's soccer. She's so interesting and has such a different perspective than I do. She's an accountant by training, and so her brain just works so different than mine, and I'm obsessed with it. So you'll love the episode. I know that. I will say this was the first episode with a guest, and I have learned a lot about how I want it to go in the future. I give big props to Allyson for putting up with whatever happened in that episode. Learned a lot in the editing process about how I need to be as we move forward. So, good thing she agreed to come on again because she deserves a redo where I'm a little more like, I don't know, used to having a guest on or something. Anyways, she was lovely. The conversation was really, really fun. And I'm really excited to hear what you guys all think and to have more episodes like this with Allyson, talking about all kinds of different things and with other guests too. So, the thing that I really forgot to do that I really wanted to do was ask her about her social medias and where you guys can find her. She posts on TikTok about women's soccer, and I find it so entertaining and I love it. So, I think you all will love it as well. Her TikTok account is Footy with AB, so you should give her a follow. Super interesting. She even gives a little tour of the spreadsheet that we talk about in the episode. So would highly suggest if you want that sort of visual. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy the episode. I'm really, really excited about it. And again, huge thank you to Allyson for coming on and being the first guest, the guinea pig. I look forward to having you back. And yeah, I hope everybody loves it and just I don't know, let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. Um yeah, I don't know. I'm awkward at these things still. So, here we go. Enjoy the episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our home ground. This is our first episode with a guest. So, Allyson, you are our first guest on the podcast, and I'm so excited for you to be here. Allyson and I are like constantly talking about all things soccer. So it just made a lot of sense for you to be the first person to come on. And I mean, I feel like I could talk to you about so many of the things that I want this podcast to be. But for this first episode, I wanted to talk about what it looks like to be a fan without a home team. Like, I'm in Atlanta, you're now in Chicago, but that's new. You had been in Ohio where there was no team. And so I just want that to be kind of the vibe and how this broader idea of like community and all of that fits in when you're not going to games every weekend. So, yeah, welcome to the pod. Thank you so much for being here.
You for having me. I'm honored and excited.
Yay. Okay. So, just to start a little bit, I want to know sort of like when you first got into soccer, what that looks like, because we all kind of have an origin story. And so I was hoping you could tell me a little bit about yours.
Yeah, so I first got into soccer when I was like 3 years old and started playing. I have an older sister who played, so as the little sister does, follows in the
Right.
footsteps. But yeah, so I played growing up all through middle school and then quit to run cross country. So, but in my youth fandom, I was a huge Tobin Heath fan.
Aren't we all?
As yeah, most people in the US are. She's just that player for me. Like she at the time like was playing on the left. So she's the reason I wanted to play on the left and like was really perfecting that, preparing to go into high school, but then I quit. Yeah. And then I actually went to the 2015 World Cup that was in Canada. So
Unreal.
yeah, I was 12 maybe. Yeah, just turned 12 and convinced my parents to go because
That's
it was going to help
amazing.
me become a professional soccer player.
As
So
you,
sorry,
as
mom
one
and
does.
dad.
I love that they
And
took
had
you though. That's so cool that they were like, you know what? Let's do it.
yeah, well me and my friends kind of had this theory growing up that if you made a presentation
Oh,
and
yeah.
like presented it, it meant you cared enough and like your parents could tell you cared enough. So that's how I got there.
That's
Um
so cool. Actually, I'm obsessed with that.
yeah, and I got to see the US versus not Canada, it was in Canada versus Australia in
Oh.
Winnipeg. So the most exciting city in the world. So, but I did get to see like Sam Kerr. Alana Kennedy, Caitlin Ford, along
Wow.
with the US team. That
Did
was
you like know about
crazy.
those Australian players at the time, or is it like now you're looking back, like I saw all of those people?
It's like I knew some of the names, but yeah, now looking back, because at the time in 2015, I had no idea that the NWSL even existed. It was
Right.
US Women's National Team or bust. So like I only ever saw them when they came to Ohio, which
Yeah.
we'll get into later, I'm sure. But yeah, so it was just the national team games that we could see and watch. But
Right.
anyway, so fast forward to 2019 World Cup. I like watched that even though I wasn't playing anymore. And then the 2023 World Cup, I was in college and I like to run. That's what I do to work out. So I was running and I like to listen to podcasts rather than music. And I happened to stumble upon the recap show
Oh,
with the one and only Tobin Heath, who
correct.
was my favorite player. So I decided to listen to that like throughout the World Cup as I was going on my runs. And that kind of like reignited it a little bit because even though I wasn't that into soccer at the time, I was waking up at 5 a.m. to watch the games.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so
I
with my
really
dad,
feel like,
it's fun.
and the whole idea of the recap show is to like change the way that we like think about women's sports and to give it like a different kind of representation. So I'm a huge fan of it. But I really think that got so many of us like back into the sport. Like, yeah, the 2023 World Cup is like what sucked me back in. I like loosely followed like when I was in high school and stuff, and then knew of what would show up on like ESPN, like reels or whatever. But the recap show, like, I made it, like, interesting and fun and exciting, and for those of us who like myself, you know a lot more about soccer than I do, but, like, it made the game feel accessible in a way that I, like, think is really, really fun, and then, yeah, I was, like, locked in. I was really convinced that the US Women's National Team was gonna win the World Cup and have a three-peat, and
I
I was
mean,
really
weren't we all?
excited. And I was really excited about that, and then that's absolutely not how that went. But, like, I don't
I'm
know,
gonna
this
talk
is
about that.
and we can get into it now a little bit because it's crazy for me to even, like, think this, but part of me is like, I think it was good for, like, the global game of soccer that the US didn't win
Yeah.
again, and part of me is, like, not happy, that would be an overstatement, but it, like, changed my involvement in the women's game because I had to pick other teams to, like, keep following, and so I was following Australia and England. Again, recap showed they had Leah Williamson on during that while she was out for her ACL and stuff, and so I don't know, I just feel like the recap show really, like, brought so many of us. But yeah, I don't know, do you have thoughts about the US not winning that you wanna
Um,
up right now? Like, do you think it changed the way that you were following the game? I don't know, maybe you don't.
at the time, I was just like, it was almost like it like reignited it, but like it wasn't kindled. You know what I
Sure,
mean?
sure.
So it was like I paid attention, and then once the US was out, I wasn't gonna wake up at 5 a.m. anymore.
Right.
That was enough for me. But yeah, looking back on it now, to see the home nation be able to keep playing for so long and what that did in Australia, it's insane. They still
Yeah.
talk about it and it's still making an impact and I really hope that their league keeps continuing to grow.
Yeah.
Because you see what winning did for England.
Crazy.
But yeah, so looking back on it, I do think it did open doors.
Mhm.
But I think the bash that the bad talk that the US got after that was kind of insane.
Yeah, I think from, like, a US centric perspective, it was, like, really like, traumatic feels like a dramatic word to use, but, like, it kind of was. Like, the rhetoric around the team was or from the outside onto the team was so bad, and of course, we know that it had been bad through the 2019 World Cup when the president of the United States is hate tweeting Megan Rapinoe and the whole team, and so it gave fuel to the rhetoric of, like, anti-women's sports, anti-US Women's National Team, which has always stood for so much progress and all those things, and so I do think that them losing early in the World Cup reignited those kinds of people, some of whom apparently were very close to the team. I also feel like there's been a lot of conversation from some of those people too, and they've reflected a lot on that too. And so it's hard apparently to retire from professional soccer I guess that's what they all say. And so I think it's different sort of criticism when you're like in the media onto the team than when you're like in the locker room saying that to each other. I feel like some players have had a harder time with that than others as they've moved away from the game.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. When we talk about like being a women's soccer fan, I think that that is very important to both of us. I feel like we spend lots of our time thinking about women's soccer and watching it and things. And so I'm just wondering, what does it mean to you to find community in it? Because I feel like I have found a lot of community in it, but I'm also far away. So like the teams that I support are Arsenal and the US Women's National Team and the Lionesses and like loosely follow Angel City. I have trouble in the NWSL because it's so chaotic. But yeah, I don't know. Which teams do you support and do you feel like you found community or what does that look like for you?
So I am very much a player type of
Okay.
person, which causes me issues, but I do support my main team is US Women's National Team and Gotham because I that's what got me pretty much the Gold Cup and Gotham kind of got me back into
Mm,
loving soccer like for sure. Like
sure, yeah.
it's not going away at this point. So I definitely support them and then Arsenal and the Lionesses and the Matildas.
Mhm.
I just love all these players, so I like
Yeah.
have to love all the teams and I
Right.
want them to do well. But yeah, with like the NWSL, it's such like there's 14 teams, right?
Hmm.
And they're all over the US. And like you said, now I'm in Chicago. I wasn't before. So I picked Gotham because frankly my favorite player was going to that team. And since
And who is it?
I wasn't Emily Sonnet.
Thank you.
Um
We love Emily Sonnet in this house for
yeah.
sure.
And although this was going into the 2024 season, I didn't know that they had just won the championship in
Sure.
um 2023. So I would like to say I'm not a bandwagon fan. I'm just an Emily Sonnet fan.
I feel like it's impossible to be a bandwagon fan in the NWSL because like any week anything is happening and so to claim bandwagon would be like a little bit wild. But
Yeah, that's
set the
anyway.
allegation straight doesn't exist here.
Yeah. So yeah, so basically in the end of yourself, since it's so spread out, it's hard to find and there are a lot of fans. Like the viewership is growing and growing, but because the US is so big,
Mhm.
where I was like in originally I was at school in Columbus or at home in Canton, Ohio, it's like there weren't people around watching or whatever. So there was no one to talk about it with. So I kind of decided to make a TikTok account and talk about it and see what happened with that. I'm someone who notices details, so I like take
Mhm.
clips that I found that I think are funny and post them, or I will talk about things that I look into, like minutes and everything else
Oh
and
my God,
stats and stuff like that.
we need the people to know about your like impeccable stats keeping. I don't even know. Everyone out there should know that if I have a question about something, I usually don't even Google it. I just text Allison and I'm like, okay, tell me what's going on here with like X, Y, or Z situation. We were talking about, I think it might have been post Olympics. We were talking about like minutes played or something, and you like had it all for every team. And I think we were talking about the gold medal game between Brazil and the US. And you're like, actually, they've all played so many minutes. And I was like, oh, wow. I'm just
Yeah.
obsessed with the level of detail that you keep. So, can you tell the people what kind of stats you're keeping briefly?
Yes. So for NWSL and WSL games, I have a spreadsheet that has each team and basically starts or like other appearances.
Mm.
Let's see, goals, assists, cards like red, yellow, whatever. Oh, those clouds went away. I just got like ghostly.
That's all right.
Um, where the clouds came. And then I also have like their plus minus score, which is like if they were on the field when a goal was scored, which like that's crazy. Which like doesn't really mean anything, but when you look at when it's very crazy, it's like, okay, so maybe you're not fitting the team system is kind of how I look at it. Or who
Okay,
is
yeah.
like why does someone like they may only have like however many appearances, but they have a plus five and the rest of the team is averaging like a
Mm,
plus two. You know what I mean? So it's
mhm,
like
mhm.
they're obviously an impact player.
Sure.
So just kind of stuff like that. I don't go like too far in depth because I only do what I can see with my eyes. And I've
Ooh.
got other stuff going on. I can't.
You have like a whole life outside of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I
But
just think
that's
it's, yeah, I think it's so cool. And it's so helpful for me as a friend because I'll say some crazy thing that I have no business saying. And you're like, actually, and then you can give me all the information. And it's so, I love it so much. It's so convenient because then I'm like, okay, well, I was really just based on like vibes and feelings. And you're out here with like actual information that's so helpful. So I love every moment of it.
but yeah, I just kind of started sharing that kind of stuff on TikTok.
Yeah.
Just because I like to talk about it. So even if no one was watching or no one was listening, I could spew. And that satisfied me. Yeah. And then I had made a TikTok before the Olympics because only instead of 23 players, the roster is only 18. So some people who are like always number 19 or always number 23, like Emily Fox, their numbers were going to change. So I made a TikTok like, whose number is going to be what? Like just guessing. And I did that. And then Mrs. Bridget over here must have seen my video and she made a TikTok. She
I
was like, I
did.
saw
And
this. And
I did
yeah,
not give you credit for it. I need to go back and
well, you
edit
did.
it
You
and tag
said,
you in
I
it.
saw this video.
I did, but I
I
didn't
don't
know
know
who it
who it
was.
was. Yeah. So I commented on it because it was on my For You page. And here we are. And
Here we
that's how,
are.
and community just happens like that.
Yeah.
So,
No,
yeah.
and I mean, I started doing the same thing. I was living in Indianapolis, Indiana. Like, no one there, wow, cares about women's sports or a lot of other things that I deeply care about. And so I was like, screw it. I'm just going to start posting on TikTok. And at the time that I started doing it, it was like, I don't know, a year and a half ago, probably. There was this like rise of like social media coverage of women's soccer, especially coming out of, or at least I was seeing it, like, especially coming out of England. And so I was just like, I want to be part of the conversation. Turns out it's really hard to have like a lot of content to put out when you're not going to games and you're like not around it all the time. But similarly, I was just like commenting on people's stuff or like seeing cool videos and either doing it myself, like yours, or commenting on other people's. And then it just really went from there. We were like, messaging and we were talking about some specific detailed thing. And honestly, thank goodness TikTok doesn't let you send pictures in the chat feature, or else we might have ended up never making it out of the TikTok chat. But here we are, and now it's like a daily thing. Like, oh, did you see this? Did you see that? Of like all kinds of random things.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it's fun, and I think yeah, just community can take so many different like versions of it, right? Like, yeah, you can have the people who you like go to games with every week and all of that, or you can have those of us who are like, oh, are you watching this game? Or during a Gotham game or an Arsenal game, I assume that you're watching. I'm just like, oh my God, did you see that? Like, did you see what's happening? So, yeah, all of that to say, it's very, very fun. I wonder, and I don't actually have an answer for this, so it's okay if you don't, but is there something that you could change about the way that I don't know, women's soccer is right now that could be more beneficial to fans like us who like aren't in the cities where the games are. And like you said, the US is huge. There are 14 teams. We're going to 16 teams next season, but still there's Boston and Denver. Like neither one of those are close to me. Like I'm still here in
Yeah.
Atlanta with nothing. The closest team is either Louisville or Orlando, both of which are over
Really,
6 hours away.
Louisville's
Yeah, they're
closest.
both like 6 hours away.
Well, I
I'm
guess
like,
actually North Carolina might be closer.
oh, maybe. I actually think that is also like six. I think I'm like, because
Really?
when I was moving here, I was like, oh, I could like get down to Orlando maybe, or like over. I think it's like 6 hours kind of each direction. Maybe it's like 5.5 to North Carolina and like 6.5 to Louisville and like 6 to Orlando. But like, so I don't know. Is there anything that you think would make it more like, I don't know, inclusive to the like fan who's not able to like make it to games? What do you think? Either
So
NWSL,
something,
I guess, or US Women's National Team too. What do you think?
yeah, I think it's easier to find US Women's National Team fans because
Mm,
a lot of those games are like easily televised. Like I've gone into a few like bars or whatever and been like, hey, can you put this on TV? And they will.
mhm,
Um, but I think something, so I was in, I had joined Reigniting, like paid the membership
mhm,
for, I was on there for like a year
mhm.
before I was like, okay, I haven't been on here in a while. I just wanted to get some of my questions in and like whatever
Yeah.
else. But when I was like exploring kind of what they had there, they have groups and it's like Chicago fan base or like it's you're located in it's like a meetup essentially thing and it's like find your region and
Mhm.
see if you whatever. But like those weren't really being used. But I think like if there was something more accessible like that, and I didn't even know they had that when I went on there. I just kind of whatever. And you have to pay the
Sure.
membership to see like that to join
Right.
the community, which like makes sense. They got to get their bag.
Right.
So like,
Right.
but I think it would be cool if like the NWSL or whatever had these like on their websites where you could kind of
Oh
like
yeah.
find whatever and like if I mean they probably got a lot going on, but
Mhm.
if they could like make these like if there was enough interest, you kind of have to see
Sure.
make like little meetups in other cities. I
Hmm.
think that would be so cool because if there was one in I'll say Cleveland because there is like a bigger market like
Sure.
in Ohio, maybe because we've gotten WNBA team going there and there was talk like they were in the bidding for our 2026 team. So
Yeah.
it's like there was interest there. So if they
Hmm.
were like, hey, like Cleveland fans, like we're gonna it's a doubleheader on Saturday night on Ion tonight. Like this bar is gonna be showing it. If you want to go, like
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
I think that would be super cool.
Yeah.
Just finding the other markets and then if there is interest and stuff there, then they know where to go with the teams next as they like
Sure.
continue growing and expanding and whatever. So that's just something I thought of as like that would be cool if something like that could happen.
Hmm.
And even for like the WSL teams
Hmm.
or the W League teams, if they could figure out the interest in
Yeah.
the other countries, I think that would be like super cool.
For sure. I think that's makes so much sense. And I feel like I know here in Atlanta there was like a group of people who just were getting together. It was B House. That's actually how I made a lot of my friends. Shout out to any of you who are listening because lots of them have been like supporting the pod. So thanks. Michaela, who did the cover art, I met through that. They were getting together to like watch different women's sporting events. And so occasionally we would do like NWSL games. We watched the NCAA championship game. I don't remember what they call it, but we watched that together. So I do think that like there are these little pockets of things, but then that's just like it was these two individuals trying to coordinate people and find bars that were willing to do it and get on board, right? And I think we're starting to see it too with these like women's sports bars that are opening up. But again, there's like five now throughout the whole country. Like the US is huge. Like one just opened in Atlanta that is doing great and I'm really excited about it. I think it's doing great. I know that I'm very excited about it. But yeah, I just feel like I was talking to actually when I was at the Euros, I was talking to Farah, who's in charge of the Arsenal Women's Supporters Club. She's president, probably is her title. I don't know if they actually do that kind of hierarchy there. Anyways, she runs
Wink.
it. I was talking to her about it. She was like, "Oh, like I can put you in contact with some of the like Arsenal supporters groups in the US." And I was like, oh, like there is one in Atlanta, but they really only get together to watch the men's games, which is disappointing to say the least. I also think trying to do WSL supporter clubs in the US can be really hard because the games are on at like 7:30 in the morning and most bars and restaurants aren't open at and that like I'm on the East Coast time, so that's the like latest, if it's a midday game or whatever. So, but I think it's worth it. I think it's worth trying to figure out what this looks like because I feel like there are so many people like us out there who are just like wanting to support and want other people to watch games with and not have to sit at home on the couch and watch them and just text their friends, which is lovely, but also I can text my friends from the bar too.
Yeah.
um so yeah, that's just kind of I love the idea and you should do it. I don't know how to make it happen, but if anyone can do it, it's you. Okay, let me look at
Me and my spreadsheet against the world.
correct. And once this podcast starts making me millions of dollars, I will support you. I will fund
It's a good
anything
sponsor.
that I can. Right. We are actively looking for sponsors. Okay. I do want to talk about you alluded to this earlier about the U.S. women's national team in Ohio. And we do, if anyone knows anything about the U.S. women's national team, our sweet angel baby star of the show, Rose Lavelle, is from Ohio. And many others also, right? Like, don't we actually have quite a few players from Ohio?
Oh yeah.
People talk about Colorado a lot, I feel like, as a random state that has produced a lot of talent. And as a neighbor of Ohio, I don't live there anymore, but I'm from Indiana. We're a neighbor of Ohio. Like, I'm here for it. But I feel like the U.S. women's national team plays in Ohio a decent amount.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we were both at the She
She Believes Cup
Believes
final.
final. Yeah, crazy game. Canada, you want to tell us about it? I feel like I'm
Yeah.
talking a lot.
So in 2024,
Hmm.
um, we found out this later because we hadn't met yet. But
Correct.
yeah, so the She Believes Cup final was in Columbus, Ohio
Hmm.
for some reason because
Random.
yeah, they play a lot in California, but I guess when there is like 3 good weather months, try and get over to like Midwest, East
Midwest,
Coast.
yeah.
So they were in Columbus, Ohio, which is where I went to Ohio State in Columbus.
Wow.
So I had
Go
started following,
Buckeyes. Is that what they're
yeah,
called? Hmm.
started following again during the Gold Cup, and they were talking about the She Believes Cup, which was like the next month, I think.
Yeah.
So I was like, great, let me look it up. Saw that it was in Columbus, and I was like, woohoo, fantastic.
Woo!
So yeah, it was against so people don't know, the She Believes Cup is just like this little round robin tournament. And because it was an Olympic year and the Gold Cup year, they made it just 4 teams instead of 6, I think there's
I
usually
feel like it
or
changes a lot. I feel like
oh
it
wait,
used to be, I don't know. And then with COVID, it got weird. I,
yeah, I don't know. So it's four
I think what they did is it still had four teams, but instead of like playing
oh
three
yeah,
games,
they
there were
didn't
only like
yeah,
two
it wasn't
basically.
round robin, it was
Yeah.
semifinal and final.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Canada, Japan, Brazil, and the US. And so
Crazy
the
good teams.
yeah,
Like,
that
wow.
people obviously no one really like the She Believes Cup is whatever. It's barely a tournament, but it's a cup and it gets
Yeah.
good teams.
Yeah. England's won it.
So
England has come a couple of times. They won it once.
Australia,
Yeah. Australia often comes.
Colombia, Brazil,
Yeah.
great teams. Yeah, so the third place game, which I went early enough to see,
I was
was
also there for that. I'm actually so mad. Like, the more times we talk about this, like, I was also there.
yeah.
Anyways,
So we saw, if you're there for that, you get to see Marta play, um,
crazy.
which is at the time she was about to retire, but she's back now. So
It
whatever.
was
It was
just
going
a
to be like
joke.
right before she retired.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Marta Japan played the third place game, and then it was
And
Canada
it went to
versus
penalties.
US.
And the
Yes.
Brazil keeper saved like three of the five or something, which seemed like a lot until we got to the next game.
Yeah. So yeah, then like we are in the final game, and I'm pretty sure it's like the US went up, and then they did they were they up?
I
No,
think
they weren't up
the
by two.
US
I'm pretty sure it was
scored
2-2 though.
first, and
Yeah,
then
it was
it,
Sophia Smith or Mal Swanson, one of them.
yeah, and then Canada scored twice, and so we were down 2-1.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. And
And then
then
the US scored again, like kind of at the
yes.
very end, I think, in like the
Yes.
85th minute or something like that, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. And then they didn't I don't think they did an extra 30 minutes. I
That's
think
what
they
I was
like
just about to
screwed
say. I
that
think it
straight
went
to
straight to
pens.
penalties. Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. And then our
Lord and Savior,
uncle Alyssa Air,
Uncle
um,
Listener. Love that
she
girl.
came up big as she did a few months prior in the or a month prior, whatever, in the Gold Cup,
Yeah.
against
Also
Canada
against
again.
Canada.
Yeah. And I think she saved a penalty, took a penalty, saved a penalty.
That woman is insane and I love it so much. And
And
we should say at the time that we're recording, this is like 3 days after she scored a
I
goal.
was gonna
Oh,
say,
sorry.
yeah,
Go for it.
in the run of play,
Tell
she
us all about
scores a
it.
goal.
Tell
Yeah,
the
so I
people
was
because
watching this game.
I feel like it hasn't gotten enough media attention. I need it to be everywhere, so tell the
I
people.
know. And this is for anyone who's watching who isn't in the US or doesn't know much about the NWSL. There's this lore called NWSL After Dark.
Hmm.
So this game also is on a Monday. So it's
Weird.
in Seattle, Chicago versus Seattle, and in like the first half, Seattle is up 2-0, and Chicago had 2 injuries in the first half.
Great.
So they had to do 2 subs in the first half, which like doesn't
Not great.
nobody wants to do that. So essentially, and also since this game was in Seattle, it was I think it was at 9 p.m. Chicago time, so that would have been
Yeah.
10 p.m.
Yeah. It was
Um,
like a 7 p.m. kickoff in Seattle, which is like crazy late for the rest of the country.
Yeah. So this happens, and then so they're down 2-0. Already had to make two subs, and then on the first kick of the second half, Seattle has it, and off that first kick, they score again. So they're down 3-0.
Yikes.
And then at the last, maybe in the last 25, 20 minutes, Chicago comes back and gets two goals from Ludmila and Cameron Bogalski. It was her
Also
first.
worth noting, if people don't follow the NWSL, Chicago is like second to
Oh, they're
bottom of the
the worst
table.
team.
They're like tied with Utah at the time of this game for like last in the league. Like they've
Yeah.
been struggling. I mean, essentially
This
since
was
Sam
week
Kerr left,
16, and I think they
like
had 8 points.
yeah, like not doing great. And
Yeah.
Seattle's like doing pretty
Top
well. Yeah,
top
top
five.
five. Yeah. Okay.
Um, yeah. They come back, and now it's 3-2, and everyone is like, well, now they've got to do it. So the last kick of the game, Chicago has a corner kick, and as the goalie does on these, they come up. And so for people who did not know this, I think previously only two other goalies have ever scored in the run of play in the NWSL. So there's a lot going on in the box. It's bobbling around, and who else but Alyssa Nair to finish that kick and finish the game so that it's tied and
Steal
they
a
get
point.
one more point.
Yeah, steal a point for Chicago. Like,
Oh, in her 200th
yeah,
start. I said
200th.
start.
Yeah, 200th start or 200th appearance. I don't actually know.
It could be both. It's a keeper, so
Oh, that would make sense. It is probably both. Anyway,
yeah,
I
but
mean, 200 either way is crazy. I think she's the first keeper to get 200.
yeah, I think that's true. I think
I
there
think
are
is right.
only four above her.
Yeah. So Alyssa Nair, we could go on and on about her. The fact and her reaction to scoring was so cute because I feel like normally she like wouldn't react at all. And she just like turned around and like threw both of her hands in the air with just this like huge smile on her face. And I was like, I loved every moment. I've rewatched it about 16 times because it's
Yeah,
just like, and like
she's
who
perfect.
else than freaking Alyssa Nair? Like, she's so funny.
Yeah,
I
so
love
that
that.
was perfect. And that is
Yeah.
NWSL After Dark.
And that is, and I was on the East Coast and I was asleep. And then I woke up to a text from you that said, I think Alyssa Nair just scored. And then a
Yeah,
full rundown of what actually happened following. But I was just like, what in the world is happening? I loved it. Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's so, the NWSL is so fun. But I have so much trouble feeling like super loyal to a team because I do think when it comes to like the US women's national team, I am very like player specific, similar to you are. Whereas I'm like Arsenal till I die as far as the WSL goes. And like I like the Lionesses, but because I like the Arsenal players, I think, and I kind of feel the same way about Australia. It's like, yeah, I like them because of my Arsenal Australians. So, okay, anything else? I have quick fire questions for you. You don't get to go yet, but is there anything else you were hoping to talk about being a fan without being able to go to games all the time and what that community feels and looks like?
I feel like it's just something that we as fans really need to take initiative of because I mean it's essentially there's not much we can do about being in the US and the
Right.
games are in England or
Right.
wherever, even just across the country.
Yeah.
It's just how it is.
Mhm.
So I think that there are fans out there. We just kind of have to find each other.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'll be working on doing that. And I hope other people are too.
Yeah, me too. And I think it's just my TikTok posting about soccer comes in these like strong waves and then I like drop off for months at a time and then I'm like back and then it drops off. But I do feel
That's how
like
I am.
so many people have such negative like ideas about social media and I'm like that's where I found all of my friends. So like I actually don't agree. Yes, there are like bad things that happen as well, but like I've found so many friends there and just I don't know, finding people who are interested in the same things as you, it's really easy to then become friends because you're
Yeah,
just excited about the same
definitely.
kinds of things. And the beautiful thing about women's soccer is that it's just like all the time. As a fan, that's lovely. I'm not sure how great that is for the players' bodies and mental health. And obviously, those are things that are often being talked about.
Well, that's what's good for the fans on the normal football schedule, which is fall to
Yeah.
spring. Come on over to NWSL. plays in the summer
Yeah, like when you have
when
nothing
there's
going
not an
on.
international tournament.
Yeah, like when we don't take the whole month of July off. But
Yeah,
normally, but they only take the month of July off if there's other soccer going on. So
true.
there's like 2 weeks a year that there's no soccer, and it's like the week of from the end of December until January, and then we're back. Okay, I have some quickfire soccer questions for you. Are you ready? You don't have to be that quick about it, but I think you can do it. Okay. Favorite women's soccer moment that you've ever witnessed? Doesn't mean you had to be like in person, but like what you saw in real time. Favorite thing you've witnessed?
Shoot. I I don't know. I want to say the Euros win, but I also was just watching that alone right here. So it was like so cool to witness, but I'm
Yeah.
like it was like boom and then
And then you had to like go about your day. It was like kind of the middle of
yeah.
the day for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, then I had to go study for the CPA exam, so that wasn't fun. But I think the Olympics was really cool
Yeah.
to watch and seeing the actually that yeah, the US winning gold was my favorite because of all the stuff that was going on before that and literally Emma Hayes only having like 3 or 4 games before that.
Them like tying Costa Rica as their send-off game, like, okay.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it was like 0-0 too. So
Right.
um
Everyone was like, oh,
yeah,
good. This is gonna go well.
yeah, but definitely, yeah, I definitely the US winning gold because
Yeah.
those games were all super intense too, and there's a
Mhm.
lot down, like, oh my God, they're
Yeah.
going in extra time and all this. And our girl Sonnet got to play a lot of
We
minutes and really
love
contribute there. So
We love when Emily Sonnet gets to play. Okay, I think I know the answer to this question, but a player you'd love to grab coffee with.
Emily got me with coffee.
Yeah, and I feel like that would be like such a good like coffee chat. Although I do feel like she'd be like a little bit awkward at first, but
Oh,
then
so would I. I'd be like, I don't,
I
what
feel
do
like you
you
guys
want to talk
would
about?
spend
So I don't know.
a bit of time just kind of looking at each other.
It's like,
I mean, like just the classic. But then I feel like you guys would end up having a nice chat after you got over that. Okay, dream match or game that you would travel across the world to see. All of them in Brazil 2027 because we're going.
yeah, I would love to see US versus England. And
Yeah.
I would love to see it in Wembley,
Yeah, that's what I
which
was
I
gonna
know
say
they
where.
just did.
Yeah,
Um, but
the
I,
Lionesses always play at Wembley. That's like their number one criticism from their fans is that like every game's at Wembley.
yeah, that's hard. But they can fill that stadium. The other
Right.
stadiums are smaller,
And if
and
the
they're gonna,
US is there, they sell it out. So I'm just saying,
yeah. But preferably US versus England in Chicago would be great.
would be fun. I would be there for that. I would travel across the country for that. Okay. Oh, favorite goal of all time.
Oh gosh, that's so hard. I'm gonna have to go with Lucy Bronze in the Sweden match
That's
to
such a good
get them
choice.
going again.
We haven't even
Um,
talked about Lucy Bronze at all yet.
I know,
We are
but
big
yeah,
Lucy Bronze fans over here, so
oh
crazy
yeah,
that she hasn't come up yet.
I would say that, but I don't know if that's just like more recency
Yeah, there is.
bias.
I feel I was answering some of these questions on an earlier episode. I did like a meet the host, and I did feel like I had like a what do they call it? A recency bias. I don't think that's what it's actually called, but the things I was like, favorite match. I don't know, one from the Euros. Like, okay, there's probably one
Yeah,
that I like more, but it
yeah,
just
I know
happened.
I've definitely seen some like Tobin Heath like bangers, so but I
Gorgeous.
couldn't pick
Yeah.
one
I think
out.
that, but just the moment of that Lucy Bronze goal, like everything around it was just everything. And then she had the penalty to back it up that just like
Yeah.
wild. That woman is wild. And she had a broken leg. I don't know. Okay, if you could just describe the women's soccer community or like your version of it in 3 words, what would they be?
We'll go homey.
Yes.
We'll say diverse.
Okay, love it.
And I'm gonna go with playful.
Oh,
Um,
I like that. Say you feel I feel like you want to say more about it.
Yeah, just because I feel like it, because I was trying to think like, yeah, like the women's soccer community, but like it's like all together, whatever. But there will be some playful banter between me and a Chelsea fan.
Always.
So I think, and like if it's US versus England, I'm like, we're coming at things that don't
Correct.
even have to do with soccer. Like,
Absolutely. I would just like you to know that I was still repping the U.S. women's national team in Switzerland, and everyone was getting so annoyed. And I was like, sorry that we're better than you. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. I'm like, sorry, we're the best in the world. Like, get over it.
yeah, there's a
Like,
reason they don't let us compete in the Euros, and it's
correct.
not because of
You had to
geography.
make a whole tournament just so the U.S. women's national team couldn't win it. Like, we
Yeah,
get it. We're better than you. They did not appreciate it. We were doing like a question thing that like England had put out before. Maybe it was the final. I don't know, whatever. And it was like asking which teams had been in like the final or won. I don't remember the question exactly, but like been in the final of the Euros and the World Cup. And it was like Germany and Sweden or Germany and Norway were the two that we were like deciding between. And I was like, I don't think it's Sweden because the U.S. women's national team has never beat Sweden in the final. And everyone was like, Bridget, how are you making this Euros quiz about the U.S. women's national team? And I was like, okay, well, by the way, the U.S. women's national team has won 4 World Cups. And so this question involved the World Cup. So it's actually about the U.S. women's national team. Just know that.
yeah, you can go. You gotta go back and
You can always figure out who it is. Anyways, the correct answer was Germany and Norway. And my friends all went with Germany and Sweden. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you.
no. You got you just gotta think about the stars on the shirts.
Right. Who has the stars? And U.S. women's national team has 4. Never forget
Hmm.
that. Okay, well, I think that's all. Thank you so much. This has been so lovely. I loved every moment of it. Also, for anyone listening, get used to Allison's voice. I'm gonna make her chat with me a lot because, like I said, we're always talking anyway, so might as well let you guys be a part of it. So hopefully there will be some like fun current events that we'll end up talking about as the NWSL season comes to a close and the WSL season starts. So very exciting. And obviously, we'll chat U.S. women's national team always. So, all right. Thank
Definitely.
you.